Hey everyone, I'm Coach John Burdett.
And I'm Team Captain Emma Kirschbaum.
And welcome to our video about team organization. In this video, I'm going to share with you how we organize our team into its sub-teams and what practices work best for us during the build season.
But before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And then leave a comment below with your team name and number so we know who is tuning in.
Our team has tried many routes in organizing students into a cohesive unit with some successes and other misses. And that is why we are excited to share with you what works for us, because this is how we robot. Our second and third year teams already understand this competition build season is too much for any one student to handle on their own. There are many different phases of the design, build, and programming aspect, let alone the competition. This means that without a clear structure, many students will split their focus amongst too much, causing them to learn too little and leave with all the frustration. You may hear us use the term brain space in this series, as we understand students and mentors alike can truly only dedicate a portion of their brain space to a project in order to do a great job.
For us, we found the most effective organizational strategy is to establish sub-teams consisting of mechanics, CAD, controls, and business. Each of these sub-teams has a captain who has experience within their sub-team. They are the most knowledgeable and therefore the most helpful.
To all our rookie friends, first up is the mechanics. These members are responsible for the physical build of the robot. Second is the CAD, or the computer-aided drafting. They're in charge of the computer design of the build prior to the approval of moving forward with a physical build. Third is the controls, sometimes called programming. These members are responsible for the programming of the robot and also the wiring. Fourth is business. Likely developed in your third or fourth year, this group is responsible for the documentation of team efforts both during the build season as well as any community impact events.
Then there's the team captain, aka me. I get to go around and help where it's needed most, but importantly, facilitate communication amongst the 4 sub-teams. Why was this the best organization? Well, from our own trial and errors, we learned 3 things. 1, if there is no team captain, one person may automatically assume and abuse their power, or no one would take charge. Either way, this would lead to a vacuum of leadership, a lack of decision-making capabilities, and poor communication amongst the team members. This costs us time in all phases of the build and competition seasons.
Second, combining sub-teams causes a lack of ownership and decision-making. This happened with us trying to combine CAD and controls for a single season. The transition never occurred, and that led to frustrations felt both by the student leaders and mentors.
Number 3, not having a business or award sub-team led to a lack of proper preparation. If a team is going to succeed in this area, there needs to be team members dedicated to the craft of documentation, including writing essays, business plans, and taking photos. Now you know the basics of our team. You may be wondering how members choose sub-teams.
Before the build season begins, we have any incoming members come to our skills camp. This is a 2-day event where every new member gets a little taste of each sub-team. The sub-team captains give the members an activity based on their sub-team to complete over the period of about an hour. For example, it could be putting some parts together for mechanics or CAD. At the end of the 2 days, we have the members rank their top picks for sub-teams. They will be placed based on their choices and overall team needs. We cannot have every member building the robot, and often it is good for members to have experience running through multiple sub-teams by the time they reach their senior year. So some first-year members may not get their first choice and placement on the team, but their work and experience is invaluable.
And about every other year, we also run a mock kickoff. We will take an old challenge before the time of any student member on the team and simulate the run of an actual kickoff of the build season. Together, we watch the game challenge animation, read through the manual, split up into smaller teams where experienced and new members intermix, and challenge students to present their ideas for a functioning robot.
We then come together as a team to listen, critique, and decide on an overall robot design, just like we would in the build season. It is important that team members respect the process and avoid looking up actual gameplay, as then their designs will pigeonhole down to what they viewed.
Following the design pitches and team discussion, we view the championship level match play and robot designs from that year. Often we find that many student ideas which were presented get represented in the final products of teams. This is a great way not only to get new members acclimated to the process of coming together as a whole team to decide on a singular design concept, but also to show what is possible by other FRC teams. More on the design process in another video. Now that we have our sub-teams in place and organized, it's build season time. After the game is released, the entire team gathers together and talks about what we want to have on the robot. We then use a Gantt chart to time out when certain projects should be done. Here is an example of a Gantt chart modified by our team, but originated from the good people at Robot in 3 Days. Check out the link in the description below.
A repeating theme in this video series is the importance of consistent and effective communication. Using this Gantt chart, we are able to directly communicate expectations to all members. For example, early in our team history, a growing pain was the persistent act of students proposing design changes long into the build season. Quote, "What if we just," were the 4 most painful words in our program. On this chart, we understand and recognize that any and all design concepts need to be proposed and narrowed down by the end of the first week of build season. If we allow ideas to linger instead of being decisive, then that puts other aspects of the build on hold and leads to wasted time and brain space throughout the build season. This means the drive team does not get to test drive the robot, which means as a team, you're troubleshooting the robot during the competition. A pit is not the space you want to be making major changes to the robot because you did not find out your design does not work until you were in a qualification match.
The Gantt chart also shows that some projects finish earlier than others, but this does not mean that those people quit when their project is done. When a sub-team is done with all of their projects, they assist with another project. When CAD is done with their main design phase, they start working on setting up the scouting and strategy boards. Everyone is involved. How do people know who needs help? Well, we communicate with each other, especially between the sub-team captains.
A hugely important factor for a fun and functioning team is the communication. When everyone is on the same page about goals for the meeting, efficiency is at its highest point. Talking to your team about the projects leads to a timely and quality finish. This means we always have an agenda for every meeting which is developed immediately following the meeting before. Sub-team captains are able to communicate where their team ended that night and the next steps to be cared for the following day. We have this on display in our build space so that anyone coming in knows the goals for their sub-team during that session.
And allow team members to be comfortable asking for help. This is a team culture characteristic, recognizing that not knowing is fun, but using each other as a resource of information and growing as a team member is vital to the program overall. How do we communicate with each other? Well, we use an app and a website called Band. You can post announcements, polls, events, RSVPs, chat, calls, and so much more. Not a sponsor, by the way. This app combines many aspects that coaches, parents, and students alike need for communication purposes. Coaches can add events so parents and students know precisely when and where to be, both during the build season and competitions. Team leaders can establish group chats to keep each other posted with what is happening or communicate needs such as technical resources or even transportation.
Coaches can talk directly to parents to help them organize for the non-technical aspects of the team. More on this later. Other teams have had great experiences with tools such as Trello and Slack to help organize in a manner similar to that of our Gantt chart. Another great communication tool is Discord, but note that this does take a little more setup than Band for registering users.
Another common question from new teams to experienced ones is, how often do you meet and how often do students need to be there? There is no one right answer to this question, and you'll have to figure out the best answer for yourself and team members. Meeting for too few hours leads to an incomplete robot but less stressed members. Meeting too often leads to a theoretically better build but burned out students and mentors.
So to let you know our balance, we meet during the build season on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 5:30 to 9 p.m., and then Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a half-hour lunch break. Student members are required to attend at least 6 hours spread over 2 days during each week of the build season.
Most of our members do extracurriculars such as sports, clubs, or work. This leads to many conflicts, which results in no one schedule working the best for everybody, so everyone decides their own best schedule. Members sign in and sign out. The coaches totals the hours at the end of the week, and if any members are not meeting the hourly requirement, then they are dismissed from the team. This may seem harsh, but as we compete as a team, we believe it is not right to allow a team member not meeting the minimum requirements to stand alongside their team captain and claim equal status on the end result. We hope their schedule frees up more next year, and they are more than welcome to try again.
Making this flexible schedule work leads back to the consistent and effective communication between sub-team captains and their members. The biggest impact this has in making the build season successful is this avoids all of the student stories of why they were late and couldn't make it on one given night. No worries, just come to the next meeting, make your 6 hours, and all is good. We even organize our students at the competitions. Going back to clear expectations and communication between mentors and students, this chart seen on the screen helps everyone know when and where and what they need to do to help the team be successful. More on this in a future video.
Finally, a mistakenly overlooked aspect in the early years of our program is the parents. If you have a parent who would like to volunteer as technical mentors, then that is great. Allow them to get involved as you feel comfortable. Not every parent is a good fit as a mentor for your program, however you see fit. But what we want to address is the significance of utilizing parents for the non-technical side of running a robotics program, food and transportation. During the build season, our Saturdays run long with a half-hour lunch break. The last thing our coach wants to do is take up time and brain space to handle food and drinks. Parents are great at this.
We organize this aspect using a website called Sign Up Genius. This website allows us to create easy to register slots for parents to volunteer their one Saturday during build season for lunch. One parent cares for the food, another cares for the drink. Students are fed, parents feel included, and the whole program continues to run smoothly. This continues at the events themselves, which is for another video, but know that the parents of your team are a vital resource to having a smooth, successful season. Students tend to get upset and less productive when they're hangry.
Our team seeks out a lead parent to help organize this aspect of the team. Much like a sub-team captain, communication between parents is vital. If they would like to use the Band app to create a parent group chat, then they are more than encouraged to do so. Often, we find that they are happier with a simple email chain sent around to all.
We cannot emphasize enough that without effective parent leadership and support of the team, the students, mentors, and coaches will all end up burned out by the end of an event. Your parents are rock stars waiting to help.
And that is how we find team organization work best for us. As a recap, number 1, we organize into sub-teams so every member can find their niche and be effective, productive members of the program.
Number 2, clear, concise, and constant communication is important among sub-team captains, coaches, and the team, and coaches and parents.
Number 3, planning. Although time-consuming on the front end, will go a long way to help the season both look and feel successful for your team. Thanks for watching and being with us here today. Remember to leave a comment with your team name and number so we know what robots to cheer for this season.
And as always, subscribe to this channel to keep finding out more on This Is How We Robot.